Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important topics for anyone who's following this channel because you want to make money from crypto gaming and from the blockchain giving players real ownership, which historically is really, really good for the gross domestic product. How much people produce when they have real ownership goes up a lot, and we have a lot of really cool stuff that we're going to get into in this video because ARK Invest, for those of you guys who don't know, is a really big investment firm which has, I believe, over $50 billion total that they're managing currently, and they just released their big ideas for 2023. So in this video, we're going to be looking at some highlights of some of the really big things that they talk about in this that makes me really excited for the future of crypto gaming, for the future of Gala Games, for the future of just the blockchain gaming in general, the world as a whole, investing as a way to make money. This is just like, there's so much really exciting stuff in this, and we're going to just like go over it. I'm sure some other YouTubers will go over this as well in the future, but our little take is going to be focused on crypto gaming and how potentially we should be positioning ourselves to financially benefit from what's happening with player ownership in the digital space. So without further ado, let's hop into this very first page that I want to look at here. And this is actually probably going to be a series as well, because this whole thing that they released is 150 plus pages. So we definitely can't go over all of it, but there's several pages here that we can definitely go over. So just so you can read this here, I made this go down a little bit, but today's innovation platforms could lift consensus GDP growth towards GDP growth suggested by technological history. So this is just looking, I know there's a lot of people in the world that are a little bit like negative about the trajectory of global growth. And for you guys who don't know, GDP just stands for gross domestic product. And essentially you can think of it as like the total revenue generated by the entire global economy. So it's like every single good that moves, every single dollar that moves in an annual basis, like how much is produced. And right now, that is around like $100 million. Sorry, 100 trillion, not million, 100 trillion, a lot bigger number. $100 trillion. And the consensus ARK is saying for 2030 is that global GDP goes to $130 trillion. So we're looking at growth, but not any type of crazy growth over the next 7 years, according to the consensus. But according to ARK's research, breakthroughs associated with energy storage and robotics alone could add 30% to real gross domestic product by 2030, and AI could dwarf both of their contributions. So this is really, really interesting here. So this is the consensus GDP for 2030. Consensus is always going to be off by a little bit, but ARK's suggesting they're going to be off by quite a lot, just looking at historically what technology has done and just adding that in. So energy storage, this is something that Tesla has a lot to do with. And for those of you guys who don't know, I made my first $1 million investing in Tesla, and I made my second $1 million, my first second $1 million investing in Tesla as well. So this is a company that I've been following like a hawk even before I learned about blockchain gaming and how like decentralized ownership could empower players and create these real digital economies. Tesla was something I was investing in before that. And one of the big reasons I'm invested in Tesla, it hasn't started to come to fruition that much yet at the beginning of 2023, but I think it's going to really start coming into fruition this year, next year, and going forward, is Tesla has a big advantage in battery production cost. And ARK thinks energy storage, if we switch to renewable energy, you need renewables, and then you also need storage because the wind's not always blowing, the sun's not always shining. But with storage, it's really easy to switch completely to renewable energy, and it's very cost effective as well. Solar is starting to get a lot cheaper than building new traditional energy generation things like coal plants or even new like oil refineries, stuff like that. So They're saying this is going to add another 26 trillion to GDP, which is crazy. Like that's almost doubling the growth by itself, what compared to consensus and now. And then robotics, ARK is forecasting another 16 trillion from robotics. And then way over here, so this is just then this is ARK's forecast with technological history added in. And some of the reasons for this is like the continued declines in cost, and that's what's going to drive some of this innovation and other stuff like that. But then they're saying that multi-omics, which is like gene sequencing, just essentially AI understanding human health and solving diseases and stuff that humans just never could, because we can't understand as big of data models and really grasp things and as much data at one time in our minds. So AI is going to do a lot of great stuff there and already has with gene sequencing. Then public blockchain, this is something, I guess, our channel's little contribution here. But this is a lot. This is a whole $1 trillion of GDP that they're expecting just from public blockchains. And I think there's a good chance they could be underestimating this as well. But yeah, this is going to be stuff like, I think a lot gaming. Right now, blockchain usage is about 50% for gaming. So if it's 1 trillion and it's still 50% for gaming, then this could be a lot of annual GDP for crypto gaming. That could be insane. 500 billion for crypto gaming a year. That's definitely a lot more revenue than's coming for crypto gaming now. I can tell you that much. That would be that's like crazy growth. But then AI, and this is something I've been having a little bit of an existential crisis about recently, is just like how much AI can actually do with ChatGPT and stuff. Like it's in this ARK talks about how AI is already, for knowledge workers that want to use ChatGPT, it can double the actual productivity of knowledge workers today already. And I have totally seen that. We're already integrating ChatGPT into some of our workflows for creating YouTube content, and it's really, really helpful. But yeah, so then they're saying with AI, it could add another 140 trillion plus. This is talking doubling, guys. Remember, the consensus GDP for 2030 is only 130 trillion. So if you add 140 trillion plus to global GDP by 2030, you're talking the economy is going to be more than twice as big potentially as currently the consensus expects. Like that would be absolutely wild. Even just the added GDP from blockchain and blockchain gaming, like that sort of stuff is wild. But yeah, all of that together, that's just absolutely crazy. But now if we look at this next thing, this is looking at disruptive innovation platforms could constitute the majority of the global equity market value by 2030. Now, ARK is very bullish, but they were right about Tesla, along with me, way before a lot of other people caught on. And I think it's because if you just like look at what's happening and project it forward, the reality of like certain types of adoption curves that are not linear, but they're S curves. Like when costs really start going down and the product quality is really a lot better, you have S curves like iPhone adoption. We're probably going to be seeing it in Tesla's, and EV adoption is the next big S curve, but we're going to see the S curve in blockchain gaming adoption and other stuff as well, because once stuff gets better enough, the adoption just picks up and it's not linear. It starts feeling like it goes going straight up. But let's see what ARK has to say here. They're saying that the total equity market in 2022 is about $100 trillion. So on a price to sales basis, the equity market is about 1-to-1. It seems like price to sales with the GDP. Now that's not 1-to-1 with earnings, because earnings is not as high as the global gross domestic product, because that's just like revenue. But the total equity market in 2030, according to ARK's forecast, they're saying that the non-innovation platforms are probably going to only lead to a 2% annual growth CAGR, which is crazy. So we're only going from like 84 trillion to 97 trillion. But then you add in public blockchains, which they're expecting is going to grow at a 50% CAGR, 50% a year, public blockchains, as far as like equity market value. This is gene sequencing and like healthcare, AI healthcare. Honestly, this could be a lot under AI probably. 27% a year. Robotics, they're saying almost 70% growth a year. That's wild. Energy storage, 56% a year. AI, I think this is underestimating, but I think you can add in a lot of this. Like robotics is going to be AI enhanced. Energy storage is AI enhanced. Multi-genomic sequencing is AI enhanced. Like AI is really going to have its fingers in everything. But if you look at this, we're according to ARK, if ARK's right, if their 2030 forecast is correct, the total equity market could grow from $100 trillion to $300 trillion. That is a triple in just the next 7 years, which would be insane global growth and would be a massive uptrend in global growth rates. And I think that AI, energy storage, robotics, public blockchains, and all of this could lead to this insane amount of appreciation that the world is honestly, I'm not sure if we're ready for it yet. Like, it's absolutely crazy. So let's look at like partly why AI thinks, or why ARK Invest thinks that AI is going to like grow the global economy so much. It's absolutely wild looking at the cost declines that we're seeing here. But just as an example of like how much, obviously, like I think we get it, how much cheaper AI could do stuff than paying a worker. But like this is comparing like a human drawn thing. Actually, I'm not even sure which one's human and which one's AI. That's how good it is. But these are two pieces of art. One's human, one's AI generated. The human one cost 5 hours of human time, $150. The generative AI art cost 8 cents and took less than a minute to generate. So this is just looking at like how much faster and more productive AI can make certain jobs. Now, this is just obviously one example, but then you look at this and your mind starts to blow. AI training costs continue to plummet. Okay, so Mosaic, or let's just look at this chart first before I read this part here. This is just absolutely wild. Costs to chain GPT-3 level performance. In 2020, $4.6 million. 2022, ARK thought it was going to fall to $740,000, which is a crazy, like over 50% annualized cost decline. In reality, Mosaic recently released an AI training tool that can train language models to GPT-3 level performance for just $450,000. So if you look down here, the actual cost declines annualized over the last several years is 70%. 70% cheaper it's getting to train AI models per year. That's absolutely wild. Just imagine, it got 70% cheaper to train new humans to do jobs per year. And then after they were trained, you didn't have to pay them. They could do the job for free. Like, that is absolutely wild how this is going to revolutionize the entire economy, the way that everything works. And I think we're just not really ready for it. So then if you go out to 2030, ARK predicts this is training a language model as good as Chat GPT-3. $30. It's going to cost $30 to train an AI model of Chat GPT-3 quality, of GPT-3 quality. So that is just absolutely wild. You're looking at AI hardware and software is going down. So those come together to create the full decline in AI costs, but it's just crazy. So they're expecting like an explosive demand for AI training, which just absolutely makes sense. My mind has been racing with ideas for applications, ways to create value arbitrage, where you like harness ChatGPT API into applications that create really ease of use across the internet. And the amount of ideas that I have are crazy. I think I'm going to be funding a few web developers going forward just to try to turn some of these into apps and see if they can be good or not and actually helpful or not. But yeah, the cost of actually like using ChatGPT-3 is going down a ton as well. And it's just really, really crazy. So because of the productivity enhancements, this is where we go full circle now, all the way back to crypto gaming. Because of the productivity enhancements that AI are going to be bringing, like the number of work hours, ARK expects they're going to really start dropping. And this is going to be opposite the trend that we've been seeing. But work hours, they're predicting, is going to be going down over time And people are going to have more time to do things like play video games, watch Netflix, hang out with friends. And that, they believe, one of the things they talk about in this, and we might do a whole separate video on it, is how that's going to lead to a actual increase in the growth of things like gaming. And then I think you add the blockchain, which is going to have a bunch of growth. I'm not sure if ARK has completely seen the picture come together of how gaming and the blockchain might just really explode the growth of gaming even more than they're predicting, which is I believe a little under 20% a year is what they think gaming is going to grow. But the blockchain, all of this less hours worked, they're right, it's going to start growing the annual growth rate that we've been seeing for a lot of these pastimes. And I think that even when AI is doing a lot of work, people are still going to want to feel productive. And one way I think people are going to be able to feel productive is in video games that have real economies. So you do have the potential to make real money, but I think it's going to be important that we very much control how AI interacts with these digital worlds, because if AI takes a job from a human and then the AI comes and takes your job in the digital world as well, that's just not, we want this to enhance life for humans. And I think that for that reason, AI needs to have a very specific life and existence in digital worlds that's very limited to what they can do to enhance the experience for actual players. But AI is going to have a big place in video games, and I think that is completely without a doubt. But this video is going to get too long, so I'm going to keep going over a lot of this. We only made it through here about the first 30 pages, talking more specifically about the stuff that I've been really excited about in this. So that means there's more than 100 pages left to go. So the next video, if it is already up, will be here, so you can click it if you want to keep going through this with me. If you enjoyed this, drop a big thumbs up, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And until next time, everyone, have fun roaming the metaverse and investing in the metaverse.